Okay. So back to our story on school history. Of course, I showed you a couple of pictures of the graduating classes. I think we ended with this one, the wedding party picture. These are all in that book I showed you, the school days book. I think we got this far. I think this was it. But nonetheless, that's the front of the building. Just showing you a couple of pictures here. This was the class of 1950. 1951, this was the first time that they actually wore the caps and the gowns. So if you see the transition there. Again, a picture of the Broad Street School, the Elizabethville School as it was called. I threw this picture in. I thought that was kind of interesting from 1936. They had a soccer team. What's really interesting, though, when the schools became Upper Dauphin Joint and then Upper Dauphin area, they actually did not have soccer. Soccer didn't actually come. It would have been actually not until about 1990 that they had a soccer team again. And that was only boys. We didn't have a girls' team till, boy, I'm not sure when they added the girls' soccer team. Also, throw this out there, did not have the girls' volleyball either. You had football, band, cheerleading, wrestling, basketball, track, baseball, softball, and that was it. Okay? No archery. Okay? Didn't have that. No bocce ball. To give you a couple of other differences. Elizabethville High School, the baseball team, and that's on the outside of the building. Yeah, that's pretty cool as well. The blue and gold. Again, another picture of the building. I put this picture in. Now, I showed you this book yesterday that was written by Miles Miller, and all those pictures that I showed you of the graduating classes. Well, what I wanted to show you was back here, this edition. Okay, so if you see that, that was actually added on. I don't know what year. It was there when I went to elementary school here. I went to elementary there. Not high school. I went to this building for high school. But this edition was the gymnasium, the auditorium, and the cafeteria all in one. Okay, on the side they had the bleachers. You pulled them out. And then you had tables you'd put down. I remember as a kid in elementary school, it was one of the honors of being in the cafeteria crew because you always got out of class to go down to the cafeteria and set up the tables. And then you got to put them away when lunch was over. So, not that anybody, you can relate to this, but we kind of milked it a little bit. Like, took a little longer than what it actually did. You know what I'm saying? Because forget you heard that. I'm not setting a good example. Sorry. But nonetheless, that was an honor.
You're supposed to be a good example.
No, I didn't say I'm perfect, though. Learn from my mistake. That was wrong. I should have got back to class right away. Right, Gavin? Right. Okay. Another great honor was to be a crossing guard. If you were in sixth grade, you were allowed to be a crossing guard if you were approved by the teachers. That was an honor. Very honorable to be a crossing guard. We don't have the celebrity in this room. No, by the way, that wasn't me, because by the time I got there, then they had adults that were the crossing guards. But none other than Mrs. Wolfgang was a crossing guard at the Gratz School. So when you see her, tell her congratulations. She'll get a kick out of that. Actually, I'll pass this around. She actually wore this badge. Okay? She was a crossing guard. And she is very proud of that. So make sure you say something to her. That is the inside of that gymnasium. And also, if you look to the right there, you can see the bleachers. So it was the auditorium as well. And then right here, where this part is, that's actually the stage looking out into the gym and the cafeteria. Okay. What's that? Yes. Well, that's actually Evil, but it does look like the Berrysburg. In fact, it almost looks exactly like it, actually. I forgot that. That was 1949. Okay. Class of 1913. Again, a lot of the families are still with us. I could probably tell you a lot of stories. Might even see your own last name up there. Or maybe mother's maiden name. Class of 1942. While the war was going on. A little bit of sentimental value here. This is Helen Reich. That's my grandmother. And in the class of 1944, that's William Henninger. That was my grandfather. So they were, yes, high school sweethearts. They actually were married, just after my grandfather graduated. And at that time, a lot of people in that class went off to serve in World War II. He actually was not drafted because he had an eye issue and he couldn't go. He was very upset about that. A lot of his classmates went and he thought he should go. And that really bothered him. He thought he should go as well. Calderon, I thought this was kind of interesting. We have seniors, and did you get to write your superlatives yet? Did you get to vote for people yet? Your bequeaths and things like that? What they did here was they actually had written some information about each person. I thought this was kind of interesting. If you see what you can take a look at that on your own there. I think that's kind of interesting how they wrote about each person that was graduating. Louis Kreutzer, by the way, he's the one that actually started Kreutzer Hardware. Anything jump out at you? Hartman. You see Andrew Hartman there? What's that? Oh, sorry. Got to put my reading glasses on. It was close. Well, anyway, do you see anything anyway? What's that? Rats. Let's see here. So again, I just thought that was kind of interesting. It's like Kenneth Bender, mush. Anybody remember the R&K Diner? Well, there were a group of guys that would go up there and sit at the stools. One of them was my great uncle. He sat beside that Mr. Bender there. Probably for 50 years of his life, he went to that diner. Now, here's something to think about. In 50 years, never actually knew what his real first name was. They always called him Mush. That's what they called him, Mush. It wasn't an insult or anything, but that's just what they called him. 50 years you sit beside somebody and don't even know what his real name is. But anyway, whatever. Senior banquet, you got the junior senior prom. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Athletic awards, of course, we call that class night. You get the idea. Um, Again, this was all in the newspaper there. Just wanted to show you that. Look at Ed. Isn't that nice? Teeter, will that be you? Hartman, which one will you be? X for excitement? I don't know. What do you think? U for youthful. Spelled wrong. All right, moving on. I just thought that was interesting to take a look at that. Again, a lot of those I think we can relate to. As you can see, the girls basketball team, the boys basketball team, and they actually would have played in that gymnasium in the back of the building that I showed you. Okay. From 1948, I do want you to know this, the industrial arts class. This was up on Market Street. I showed you this the other day. If you know where the Kepler home was located. Industrial arts was started at the shed beside the Kepler convalescent home, and that's up at 44 South Market Street. They didn't have room in the building, so they went up there. So that would be Mr. Kravitz's great grandfather taught up there. I don't know if that's true, but just thought I'd say it anyway. So if you were in industrial arts or building trades or any of that, you go up there for class. Not all day, but certain times of the day. That's where it would go. Also, there's another picture of it, by the way. Does anybody recognize this building?
It's right by my house.
Back on Spruce Street. The building on the left was actually the school. Now on the right, that was added on when they made it into a factory. And actually part of the shirt factory was there, and also it was called Mars Footwear, where they would actually make the soles of shoes. They also had the industrial arts there, but I also want you to know as well that they did have classes there. Grades 3, 4, 5, and 6 were moved there as well. So that was the school also. If you go up the road to the stop sign, look directly across, you'll see it. That was called the Spruce Street School.
It was in my drawing.
What's that?
It was in my drawing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. There's another student that lives back there. I think in the 8th period class. Who else lives back there? Spruce Street. That's right. Do you remember Paul Bowman by any chance? He lived on the corner there. He might not still be living. I don't know for sure. No?
What corner?
Yeah, what street would that be? I'm not sure. I think it's, is it Pine Avenue maybe? No. Pine Avenue is down at the bottom. So you also had classes there and also industrial arts classes. Okay. A regular 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice the year from 19 till 1954, 55. And that's going to be an important year that we want to think of. Okay, now don't write your hand off. I just want you to understand the buildings there, which were used as well. I don't feel that you have to write every word down. Do it to suit you. There's a close-up picture of it. Does anything go on in that building now?
Yeah, they sell antiques and stuff there.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go in it.
Oh, that's right. I knew that.
Yeah.
What about the martial arts course classes? Do they still have
Do they
those?
still sell? Do they still do that?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Yeah, then that would be upstairs.
Okay.
Doesn't Fry's guys for liking?
Oh, really?
I think it's the warehouse.
Is he in there? Okay. All right. 1956. They actually had the VOAG department, or FFA, etc. Ag courses, and that was back in the garage where Dr. Buxton. That was a doctor's office. That's right up here on Broad Street. Probably driven by that many times. That was a doctor's office. That was Dr. Buxton. And if you know Ed Cooper, he actually lived there, and he actually had he told me that the intercoms are actually still in the walls, the speaker systems, things like that. A lot of this would not fly today, where you have kids leaving school and walking to people in the community, to their homes, to their garages. That would not be allowed. Okay. With the types of background checks and things like that, that wouldn't fly. Now, I never heard of any issues with any of this at the time, but today, no, that wouldn't happen. Okay, this is a year you got to know. Well, let me say it this way: 54-55 school year. Remember, school starts in the fall, then we have the new year starting in January. So you want to know 1954 to 1955. 54 to 55. What happened was the State Department of Education, along with the state representatives, the governor, they got together and they just decided, simply put, there were way too many schools. There were too many school districts. There were one-room schoolhouses. There were some buildings, like we said. There were parsonages used for churches. We had industrial arts classes, things like that. And that wasn't only here. That was elsewhere. So the state got together and said, we have to consolidate the schools. So in 1954 to 55 school year, and I want you to know this, listen to my words, Upper Dauphin Joint, not area, Upper Dauphin Joint School was created. This was the first year of the jointure. It was called Upper Dauphin Joint School. Why joint? Because they were joining together. 1954 to 1955. This building went under construction at the time, but it wasn't completed yet. That's why they had the various buildings in the community used. Take a look at all of the towns or townships that were joined together to make Upper Dauphin Joint. Say it again. Wasn't too bad then, from what I've been told.
My dad said when they combined elementary and middle schools all together, he was in there. There's lots of fighting between Gradsbury.
Now that's true. And the other one that's coming in 1965 was probably even more violent. Not really, though. I'll tell you what happened. The parents held on to the traditions, things like that, but the kids got over it. Kids are like, well, so what? We'll talk about that. I got some stories to tell you. Take a look at the towns and townships up there. You probably see the town and or township in which you live, except for one real big one. There's one biggie missing there.
Carsonville,
Well, that'd be Jefferson Township.
another one.
There's one real big one missing. We got to know this because this makes a difference in 1965. 10 years early. What do you notice, Weaver? Think about where you live. Likens Township is up there, but not Likens. Likens Township is not the same as Likens Borough. Likens was not part of the jointure, and that's what you want to know. Likens was not part of the jointure. Now, to tell you where we're headed, 10 years later, Upper Dauphin area, which has been ever since, was created, and that was Upper Dauphin Joint and Likens merging together. Then there were a lot of people with a lot of opinions. We'll talk more about that. But right here, at this time, let me be crystal clear, Likens had its own school. These joined together to be Upper Dauphin Joint, and Likens had its own school, which a lot of you are familiar where the Likens school was. They just tore it down over the last year or so. But that was an actual school district, the Likens School District, which competed against Upper Dauphin Joint, also competed against Wiccanisco. Now, think about where the Likens Wiccanisco ball field is. You see how close Likens and Wiccanisco are. You want to talk about a backyard rivalry if there ever was one. Also, Upper Dauphin Joint and Likens competed against each other. 10 years later, then they merged and become one school district. That was also the same year that Trav Valley was created and Williams Valley. Backing up, back to 1955, that was when Lime Mountain was not in existence, and it was actually called Mahanoy Joint School because there were many towns and boroughs that joined together to be Mahanoy Joint School. But
So why did Likens come to us and Wiccanisco went to Williams Valley?
hold on, I'll tell you the story. Let me say, it was only after a lot of heated meetings and a lot of disagreeing. But I'll also tell you this while we're at it. That wasn't as bad, though, as when Williams Valley was created. Williams Valley, then there were a lot of back alley fist fights over it. But probably the best thing Williams Valley could have done was build a whole new school off of 209, and then you weren't showing any favoritism to any community, and then everybody kind of got over it. But the fact that this building was here and Likens was losing their school, it was still used as an elementary. That did create a lot of heated arguments, to say the least. Okay, so here you can see where we're at, Dauphin County. I just put that in there. Now, take a look at this once again. Let me be crystal clear. Towns are not the same as townships, and townships are not the same as towns. Okay? Let me be clear. You see, you have Wiccanisco Township, but this is Wiccanisco Borough. Same deal here. You have Likens Borough, but there's Likens Township. Okay? They're not the same thing. And everybody up there, I'm sure, sees the town or township in which you live. Did you ever notice where Carsonville is? It is. Jackson goes to Halifax. If you live right on the other side of this mountain where the Mountain House restaurant used to be, and then let's say you go down the road there, that first farm there, those students, those kids all go to Halifax. Our buses actually go through Halifax District to pick up Carsonville students. Well, I'm glad they do. Peyton, it's good you're here. Yes, we want you here. Yes.
That makes no sense though.
whatsoever.
It's been argued ever since.
Cutoff is
People
the
wondered.
Evil Mountain, right?
What's that?
The cutoff is the Evil Mountain, right?
No,
Off is the mountain house.
no, because of Carsonville. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, well, yes, but right here is basically the mountain, yes. But then here, these students living here go to Upper Dauphin. Now, have you ever driven on the Gamelands over by Likens? If you go up to the top of the Likens Mountain and come down the other side there where those camps are, all of those houses, the students come to Upper Dauphin. They don't go to Halifax.
School
Yeah.
lines are so messed up.
Well, it all has to do with the township, where the township lines are.
That's
They
like
need
my
to redo everything.
yeah. That's like my dad's house is like you can be in one part of the house and be in Tri Valley School District and be in the other side of the house and be in my house.
You want to know another good one? If you go into Likens, as you're coming down, does everybody know where Big Run is? If you turn left, that's Williams Valley District. If you stay right, keep going down 209, that's still Williams Valley. But Likens is Upper Dauphin area.
What if you were to live in a mountain house?
In the mountain house, you'd go to Halifax.
Oh my god.
How does that make
That
any
is
sense?
so-
Where you live a mile away.
You live a mile away from this.
Those are
Wow.
questions you'll have to ask Governor Wolf and Joe Kerwin,
I don't
our
want
new state representative. Ask him.
I don't want this.
I can guarantee you, it's been everything you're pointing out has been discussed. You see what I'm talking about here? This is Upper Dauphin area, and then that's Halifax there. This Susquehanna, don't even worry about it. That should be a different color because that just throws you off.
That should be.
Okay? But over here is Peyton, so you smile, Peyton. You're here. That's good.
See, what would
Shouldn't
make sense?
Susquehanna be that tannish color?
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
I would agree.
What would make sense to redo is not care about township lines and just put everything for convenience, not township lines.
Yeah. Whatever school you're closest
Fair
to.
point. Fair point. Okay, let's pause here. Let's do this for the remaining few minutes. Go to your local history, heritage, and trivia questions. Lights, if you would, there. Tomorrow, last call. Get it to me if you didn't already. Okay.